Hello, this is Elliot from ETJ English. Now recently I did a poll on my Twitter and I asked you what you wanted my next lesson on YouTube to be about. Or the majority of you, which means the most of you within your group, within the people who voted, the majority, most of you decided that you wanted a English listening practice video. And that's what I'm here to bring you today. It's a bit of practice with listening, but it's also going to be some useful vocabulary that I'm going to teach you within this. I've been away for about a week. I was under the weather, which means I was sick. I wasn't feeling very well. I had something we call food poisoning. This is when you eat some food which isn't necessarily very good. You know, it might not be cooked correctly, it might have some germs inside of it. There's something wrong with it which hasn't agreed with my stomach. It's not made my body feel very good. I won't go into detail, but your body doesn't accept any food that you eat when you've got food poisoning. So as you can imagine, as you've probably experienced yourself with illnesses, it's not a very pleasant experience. I'll just put it that way. But I'm going to teach you some useful vocabulary. For example, a lot of us come to a point where we have to, what we call in sick. And this is when we have to phone up or call our manager, our boss, the person we work for, and we have to tell them that we're too sick to come to work. Luckily for me, I didn't have to do this because I am my own boss. So the only people that I had to tell was my students. And I was very sorry that I had to tell them that I was sick and I couldn't do lessons. But when you're calling in sick, there might be certain things that you'll want to tell your employer. And you might want to be able to explain to a doctor, for example, what your symptoms are, what's wrong with you, why you are sick. So I have a collection of kind of words. First of all, we'll start with aches. Now, an ache is when parts of your body hurt. You can have a headache when your head really hurts. You can have neck ache. You can have backache. You can have toothache. There's all kinds of aches that you can have. Aches and pains, we call them. This is a common thing you get when you're ill, when you're sick, especially when you've been throwing up. This is another thing, throwing up. I'm sure you know what that means. We'll also say to vomit. This lesson isn't really particularly enjoyable words that I'm teaching you, but they're useful ones and they're ones you need to know. So we have other types of illnesses. You don't just have food poisoning like I had. You can also catch a cold. We say to catch a cold means to get a very common illness which almost everyone has. You've probably had it. I've had it plenty of times, especially in school. And this is when you have a blocked nose, you can't breathe out of your nose, a sore throat, and also you'll probably have a cough. And it might hurt to swallow because of your sore throat. As well as having a cold, you can also catch the flu. The flu is a little bit more of a serious version of a cold. But this is also something that I've had. I know other people that have had it also. And with the flu, you also get things such as, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know all of this, but you do also get aches and pains in your body, as well as possibly being sick, sore throat again, headache, and other things can come from this illness. It's just a lot worse than catching a cold. So those are just a few symptoms. There's other ones which are a little bit more disgusting, which I'm not going to explain in this video. If you want to know the more gruesome words, then feel free to send me a private message and I will tell you on Facebook maybe. Because, it is good to know some of these words, especially if you have a British employer and you need to be able to tell them what's wrong with you. Also, if you're in England and you have illnesses, maybe you have to tell the doctor when you go for a checkup. Now, if you're talking about being ill to people, maybe friends or someone like that, there's a few different ways we say in English. There's idioms, there's all kinds of ways. You can say you're under the weather. You can say that you have an upset stomach, which means your stomach isn't very happy. It's hurting and it's making you sick, or maybe out the other end. And also you can say a little idiom, this one for you, is by saying you're as sick as a dog. Now, this is something you could say to your friends. You probably wouldn't say this to an employer. That's probably some of the most useful vocabulary for you when you're talking about being sick for now. If you have any other questions, then feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I want to ask you to answer in the comments below. Have you ever had to call in sick, to phone your employer and tell them you are sick? Do you find it hard to do this? Is it something you're scared of doing? For me, it terrifies me. When I was working in a job when I had to call my employer, my manager, to tell them I was sick, it used to terrify me. It's quite a scary experience telling someone, your boss, that you can't come into work that day. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Head over to my Facebook and book a lesson with me if you want to. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. What do you do when you're not working, and are you able to find that free time so you can have a good balance, a good work-life balance? I'd love you to let me know.